Y'all remember this clip of Trump during his first term at the UN?
In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Literally laughed at in that circumstance. Well, it seems to be a trend. We have this American bubble we're in, where we're so used to Trump. And he goes and speaks and people just process it normally. But when you go outside of that bubble, people are shocked, awed, and sometimes hysterical in response to the US president being the way that Trump is. A journalist who was on the ground at Trump's visit to the Netherlands, The Hague, where there's a NATO summit going on, said Trump is rambling at his news conference in The Hague, and foreign journalists who are unused to hearing his nonsense are giggling. So apparently there was some giggling going on at him. Let's start with this clip. He keeps being so upset about journalists asking a very reasonable question, which is that intelligence report leaked that indicates the nuclear sites in Iran weren't totally obliterated, as Trump has repeated many times. And does that give you some pause or some reconsideration about the decision to proceed with that action as you did? And Trump what is he going to do in this circumstance? Attack the media, of course.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN?
Here, I'll hold it.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Thank you, sir.
You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also Iran made the statement. And it's also, if you read the document that was given, that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't.
How many times is he going to repeat that? Oh my gosh, he's like broken.
Choose to put that, because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated.
Yep, there's the word. The word of the day. I saw someone say obliterated is the new big lie. Now, they keep doing this thing, you're going to hear it multiple times, where they go, by asking questions about the outcome of this potentially illegal strike that was very risky, you're trying to demean or diminish the service members who participated, the U.S. service members. I find that wildly offensive and disrespectful to the service members for you, Trump and Hegseth, to try to exploit their bravery to defend yourself. This has nothing to do with their courage and their willingness to serve the country. It has to do with the facts of the operation that Trump directed. That's it. This is a Trump question. But they keep trying to defend themselves by exploiting the stories of the service members who, of course, are going to be brave. And of course, we honor them for that. Before getting to more substantive stuff, we have a new soundbite, and it comes from the clip that I'm about to show you. What's the soundbite first, Cole? The daddy one.
You're my daddy.
How did that come up? You might be asking. How could that be on our soundboard? It's not AI, it's real.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to get them.
So the NATO chief there says sometimes Daddy has to use strong language, referring to Trump. So then Trump was asked about that.
Go ahead, back, White. Yeah. White jacket?
You had to clarify that. White, good white, Aryan looking. I mean, white jacket. Sorry.
Yeah. White jacket? Yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Hello?
Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you...
Everything's better with that accent. Earlier, he called you daddy. Do you have a response? Do you see yourself as daddy?
The NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children?
Okay, it's funny, obviously. I don't want this, though. I don't want it. I don't want to have that soundbite.
You're my daddy.
I don't want it. Mr. President, the NATO chief called you his big boy daddy. Do you have a response to that?
You're my daddy.
Do you see your role as punishing your kids like a daddy would?
You're my daddy.
Is that why you dropped the F-bomb? That was the context of the question. Do you see yourself? If you are daddy, how big of a daddy are you?
You're my daddy. You're my daddy.
Mr. President.
You're my daddy. You're my daddy. You're my daddy. You're my daddy.
I don't want this. I don't want to have to do this. This is not fun. You think this is fun for me? You think I'm having fun right now?
You're my daddy.
All right, get on to this.
We shouldn't have issued a report until they did, but we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And you know, you should be proud, especially you, should be proud of those pilots, and you shouldn't be trying to demean them.
No, there's
those pilots flew at great
assessment
risk, a
and
big chance that they'd never come back home and see their husbands or their wives. Let me just tell you, you and NBC, fake news, which is one of the worst, and CNN, New York Times are all bad. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. But you know what? You should be praising those people instead of trying to find some. By trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then...
So again, what I referenced earlier, this is just him disrespecting them, exploiting them to not answer basic questions the U.S. president should be willing to answer, which is you, without congressional approval, risk starting an all-out war with Iran because you said, despite that being contradicted by your intelligence community, that you had imminent threat status risk coming from Iran with their nuclear capabilities. You made that decision. You proceeded with it. It was an unprecedented move. It was very scary to the world. It could have caused, and it still may cause, ramifications we don't yet know. And all of that was under the promise that you were going to completely obliterate their nuclear sites. So, as president, reporting on how it went and answering questions about it is no disrespect to the service members. It is your job, because we should know when you were risking sending more service members into war with that decision, how it went. You can explain that. There's no disrespect. And it was your intelligence. It was your Department of Defense that even gathered the information that now we're responding to, that it maybe didn't go the way that you said that it went. Then Hegseth does his whole dog and pony show of, I'm so upset. Why would anybody
meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer this question.
And also, Mr. Hegseth, do you see yourself as daddy?
Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times, is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas.
So actually, we care so much about our country and our service members that we want to make damn sure that the president doesn't willy-nilly risk getting us into conflicts with, in this case, Iran. If number one, there's not an imminent threat that his intelligence community did not bring forward. And number two, if you're going to do it, you better know what you're doing. And it better go the way that you promised it would. Because if all this did is further increase hostilities, but only set back a few months tops, was the wording from one of the intel sources, their nuclear program, then I think we can all agree as adults, with all the respect to the service members a part of this operation, that maybe the decision Trump made wasn't the right one.
And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know.
Mr. Hegseth, you're doing that thing with your eyebrows again, and your shoulders where you jut them. You jut like daddy.
You're my daddy.
Can you take that down? You know what that reminded me of? The jutting and jutting. This little interview during the Signal chat controversy.
Dismiss people who you believe are leaking classified information. And again, the investigation is ongoing and that will take time. And when the evidence produced, it will go to DOJ. Why would it surprise anybody, Brian, if those very same people keep leaking to the very same reporters whatever information they think they can have to try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary? So once a leaker, always a leaker, often a leaker.
Once a leaker, always a leaker, often a leaker. Leaker's gonna leak, leak, wiki, wiki, wiki. It's like, wow, how many times do you need to say that? So that's what that reminded me of. And in response to Trump's statements of the intelligence was inconclusive, we don't know, we actually don't know, which he keeps saying, he keeps going, no, that intelligence report says that we don't know, which is not what it says, but okay. Well, it does say we don't know, but here's the preliminary assessment. And then we need to do more assessments, sure. But Trump keeps going, oh, we don't know. And also I know for certain it was completely obliterated. Wait, so which one is? No, how could this assessment mean anything because we don't know how it went. But also it went perfectly and we obliterated. So Murphy said, incoherent and embarrassing. He admits our intelligence doesn't say we destroyed anything, but he still believes we destroyed everything because of course he does. Good point. Share your thoughts in the comments.